Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show. 3, 2, 1, boom!
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the conversation. Today we're breaking down the words of wisdom of Seth Goldman, the founder of Honest Tea. And one of the things that he talks about, this is powerful, and I want you to take note on this. He says it's crucial to develop your own talent. To do that, you have to offer more to your employees than great compensation. You have to make it clear to them that as the company grows, they can grow along with it. And so I'm going to make this very actionable for you, very specific, but then I'm not going to give you the time needed to do it. You'll have to create that time. So you have to create an org chart, an organizational chart. For Elephant in the Room, Z, we just rolled that out about a month ago. And after the show, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. But I rolled it out, and a lot of the people on the entry level were saying, What? You mean if I do this, I can get promoted to that?
What?
And from this to that, it's like this, that, and this, and it's like this.
This is the roadmap for me being here a long time.
And people were really excited, though, knowing that if I go from here to here, and so I pointed out to him, I said, hey, listen, Daisy started out as a call rep. Now she's the manager. Mm-hmm. Dan started off here as a coordinator. Now he's the manager. And if you get promoted, this is how it works. And just seeing that, how the organizational chart works, that's powerful. That's one. Step two is you have to provide ongoing training. And so I want to tee this up to Z and to Wes in just a moment. I want to get your take on this. I just remember there's two profound moments in my life that were tear-jerking moments. When my wife went to bed, I cried. These are two moments.
Two moments. Okay, here we go. Ready?
One is when you invited us to your Christmas party, and my wife wore a teal sequin dress the first time that we had gone out and looked nice since we got married. Oh, wow. And she bought a nice dress. We went out. It was a casino-themed party.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we were invited to attend the party, and we just attended it as a couple. And it was the first time since we'd been married, budget was tight, that we had done it.
Wow.
And I remember coming home after that party. You provided drink tickets for everybody. You provided casino chips for everybody. And it was a great time. You were very generous with it. The food was great. And I know you have a lot of them. It was at the Cityplex. You probably don't remember it, but it was a really nice.
I do.
And I just came home. Vanessa went to bed. And I remember just bawling because it was like the first time that we'd gone on a nice date since we got married. And I'm like, I'm a freaking loser. But I felt good, though, that you took the time. And you didn't have to do that.
Right.
And now this year's Christmas party, again, you did it again. You have a great party. You don't have to do that.
It was fun.
It was fun at the Mayo. The Mayo, what a great venue.
But the second thing you did, this is powerful, is after I'd harassed Kylie, your office manager, I'd harassed her to DJ over and over and over. She said, no, we already have a company. We already have a company. And I said, Kylie, I know, but my wife's been there about 1.5 years, and I really am telling you, I'll DJ it for $1. I'll DJ it for whatever. She goes, well, just give me like a brochure. I'll talk to Dr. Zellner. And so, long story short, I got booked to do DJ your holiday party.
Bam! I remember this.
At the end of the party,
I remember this.
I got there I told Kylie I'd be there at 4:30 to set up. I got there at 2. I'm all set up.
The previous morning.
I'm ready to go. I got my playlist made. And at the end of the event, you said, "Hey, great job, Tiger. You were in a black shirt. You had a black shirt. You came up to me and you gave me cash. And the cash that you tipped me was equal to what you had paid for me to DJ. And it was what we needed to make it." It was the gap income we needed to make it to pay and so again, but you knew my wife worked there and you knew that and you were doing that. You made that happen. I don't know how much of it was because my wife worked there, but you knew that. You know that. And so management is mentorship. It's when you coach people up. Talk to me. How do you provide ongoing training, mentorship? What are some things you do on a daily basis that probably you even forget about? But through osmosis, you just do it. It's it's part of your regular now. So through osmosis, through training, we want to start to do this. How do you mentor up your people?
I tell you what, when you reach the level that I'm going to talk about here in just a second, you have done a good job in getting as much of your DNA in your employees as you possibly can. Because the idea is you're trying to clone yourself as many times possible. Because you know that every phone call you answer, it's going to be awesome. You know that every patient you check in or check out, it's going to be good. Because you have a passion about it. It's what you do. You're the one that said you're the one that designed everything. And so around my office right now, there's a little saying. And you put it on the board in our conference room.
Yes, I love it.
You big chalk up thing. He's an artist. For those of you who have been to the Thrive headquarters, once again, you got to come by and be inspired.
Check it out.
And it says something like this. What would Z do? And it was a play on the bracelets that people would have, like, what would Jesus do? You know?
I ask myself all the time this, though. I ask myself,
what would Z do? And if you own a business, and if I went to any one of your employees and I gave them a scenario and I said, what would you do? You know you've done your training. You know you've done your time input. You know you've distributed your DNA when they look at you and say, I know exactly what you would do. And here's what you would do.
When you get to a place where they would actually say, okay, what would the owner do? What would he do right now? That's where you know you've implanted your DNA.
Right. I've got an irate customer who has a problem and it needs to be solved. And you know what? Z's out of the country. Z's somewhere else. Z's not right here. But you know what?
What would he do?
I know what he would do. Therefore, I'm going to do that with confidence that he's not going to be disappointed when he finds out about it.
And I want to tap into the wisdom of Wes Carter on this because, Wes, you've been mentored by a guy who many consider to be kind of a living legend. I mean, Tom Winters and the folks at Winters and King, you guys have worked with some of the biggest clients in the world. I mean, you're working with T.D. Jakes, Joyce Meyer, Joel Osteen,
Craig Rochelle here at Life Church in Oklahoma.
I mean, you're working with the big kahunas.
Very blessed.
Kahunas. So how does mentorship happen at Winters and King, or how did it happen?
Well, backing it up just a little bit, I think we always talk about hiring A players. I think you have to understand that if A players don't see a future, A players don't stay in dead-end jobs. And so it's bringing in those people and showing them you have a future here that's bright. And so, yes, part of it is getting them to think like you, the processes, the systems, but some of it's hope. You have to give them hope that there is a better future every day here at the firm, here at this company.
And that is where
I like that.
And that is where continual growth occurs. Zig Ziglar once said, "You're either growing or you're going. You're either ripe or you're rotten." It's kind of a thing where you want people to be growing, Chup. You want them to be developing.
I remember specifically one of the first things you said to me at my shadow day at Thrive. So I went through the group interview process just like we preach, and I had my shadow day, and Clay says to me, "Hey, if it's a good fit, I'm not sure where everything will end up, but at least you know you're going to have a tour of duty here." And you explained to me how you were going to make it a learning opportunity for me. And that stuck with me. It's been 2.5 years. And like that was, that tour of duty. Hey, you may not be a long-term, this may just be a tour of duty, but we're going to teach you. And that made me know that you're a mentor.
And one thing that I have learned is that every doctor that I've hired, they always have when they interview, they always want this. So can I own a piece of this? Can I be a partner? Can I, where's
Can I be a partner? I want to be a partner.
Where's the end game? And I told him, I said, well, you know what? It's hard to value a company that's ongoing. We could bring in 100 experts that all have a different price, and you can take your money. You can buy Walmart stock. You can buy anything you want with the money that I'm going to pay you, right?
Right.
But since I'm not going to value this is already ongoing, and even if you owned a piece of it, you'd never control it because I wouldn't let that happen, right?
Right.
But as I open, if you do well, and you're the kind of person I want to keep around me for a long time, as I open up new companies. And on the ground floor, I'll let you come in on that. And so I've got several of my doctors that
are partners.
On other businesses and make as much or more on those than they do being an optometrist for me.
So sizzle.
And that's really where when you've developed people that they trust you that much, where they're ready to team up with you and partner with you, that's when you know that you've done ongoing mentorship effectively. We come back from the break. We're breaking down more words of wisdom from Seth Goldman, the founder of that incredible company called Honest Tea.
Want to attend the legendary Thrivetime Show Business Workshop for free? Subscribe on iTunes, leave an objective review, and send us confirmation at info@thrivetimeshow.com to claim your tickets. Want to live in a van down by the river? Come by and see us at our Riverwalk offices, and we'll be able to make your dreams come true.
All right, Thrive Nation, welcome back to the Thrivetime Show on your radio. We have time to get back into 2 more words of wisdom from the founder of Honest Tea, Seth Goldman.
Or for our Hispanic listeners, dos words of wisdom.
Z, sometimes your quickness of your vernacular, sometimes it outpaces my...
Does it scare you?
Well, my mental capacity is only so much, But I do know I took Spanish in college. I took Spanish in high school, and my Spanish name was Guido, and my teacher refused to speak English at any point. She said, I remember Miss Boyd. She would start off the class by saying,
Yeah.
Hola, me llamo Mr. Boyd. And I had no clue what she was saying at all from that point forward.
Well, if I can outpace your mental capacity, as big as your head is it true? I mean, if the average human's only using 10% of their brain, I don't know if that's like a wives' tale, I think. But if as big as yours is, you only must be using like 2%. I mean,
I will
seriously?
say this: Sometimes when I'm around myself, I realize that the shadow that I'm casting is affecting the weather patterns below.
Yeah.
Solar
It's such a massive. I think it's a solar eclipse at all times. Like the
Do you ever have
Hindenburg.
to sleep in like a neck brace just to keep your head from like?
The real question, to be honest with you, is
twisting
when
your-
do I not sleep in a sleep?
Oh, that's good.
a
That's a good
brace?
point. That's a
You
good
know what I
point.
mean? I mean,
Yeah.
I got to be honest with the listeners. I
mean-
don't exaggerate. Okay, so here are the next two notable quotables from Seth Goldman, the founder of Honest Tea. He says, whatever your industry, you have to break down the business into its very smallest components and then build it up again. So I'm going to think about Dr. Robert Zellner's business, the optometry clinic. I'm just focusing on that particular business. I'm going to think about Wes Carter's business, and I'm going to think about elephant in the room. So here's the thing about elephant in the room. When you come in to get your first haircut for $1, I want to make sure you get that. If you're listening right now and you live within Tulsa, take the challenge. Your first haircut is $1. But when you come in to get your haircut for $1, it costs me $23. Now, I'm working overtime to bring down the cost, but it costs me $23. I have to make sure that our grooming professionals do such a good job that at least 55% of you sign up for a membership. Because if you don't, the model doesn't make any sense.
It ain't worth it.
So unit economics, you have to know in the smallest level per customer, what does it cost you to get a customer? And before I sold DJ Connection, I knew that it cost me, and this is just weird stuff I used to know, about $75 to get you in as a new customer, but I made $167 of profit per wedding.
Come on.
167. So Z, with your optometry clinic, how does knowing the smallest number help, and then how do you scale from there? I mean, once you know what it costs you to see a patient, to treat a patient, how is that helpful?
Well, I was going to actually kind of reverse engineer
Yeah, do
something
it.
about
Do it.
that. I know what it cost to bring a patient in. It was, the last time I checked, it was right around. It was a little less than $10.
Sick.
Okay.
You've been advertising a long time.
I've been advertising a long time. So let's say $10. Just round it up to $10. Okay. So the other day we had a situation where a gentleman had a lens get scratched, and he'd had a scratch coating put on it. And just because you have a scratch coating put on doesn't mean you still can't scratch it, right?
What?
But
Like screeching it with a knife.
But he came in and he was upset that he had a scratch on his lens because he couldn't. It was right there where he was seeing out of it.
I mean, he just was doing some welding, and he cut the lenses with a welding device, and so he's a little frustrated.
And it was just a little past the warranty time that we had. And so my employee was like, well,
There was absolutely no way
You're
that we
a
are
month-
going to honor that warranty.
you're a month past your warranty time.
You're a month and 2 days past. No.
And you know what?
No.
You didn't follow protocol, and you got a scratch on your glasses.
Real quick.
so-
I want to steal the thunder real quick. The employees typically want to do that. They've been promoted to some level where they have some autonomy, and the employee likes to have a little authority.
Oh, yeah.
And
A little bit of power.
there is about probably a third of the population out there that loves to say, you're denied. You cannot do it. I mean, there's certain people that just enjoy.
Oh, they get off on it.
They love it.
They love it. And they find themselves in the armed forces or the sheriff's departments or
Step
TSA.
out of the car, sir.
Now TSA.
Step out of the car. I'm listening to the
TSA.
Thrivetime show right now, sir.
Sorry.
Please step out of the car.
Sir,
Or
do you know-
great TSA
do you have any
TSA
liquid?
agents.
Do you have any liquids inside that bag? I think you do. I think you do.
So they get a little they get a little hot and bothered. They get a little hot bothered. He's not thinking that's quite right, and the employee's standing up on the letter of the law, the black and white. Here it is, and
I swear, we stick behind the law. If there's no law, it's anarchy. I would.
knew the deal.
This is not Nom.
So then it escalates enough to where it gets my attention, and so I get involved in it, and I pull my employee aside, and they tell me the story, and I say, a new lens and that pair of glasses is going to cost me less than $10.
I swear, it's worth it, though. It's the principle.
And
it's the principle. Would Tom Brady do a refund? No.
On lobster.
Are we excellent or not?
So I looked at him and said, replacing that lens at no charge for that gentleman, I would spend less money and get and getting a patient for life versus him being mad and leaving and going somewhere
I could
else.
see where you was coming from. That was what I was going to say.
So I asked him, what would I do? So now you've learned what I would do in this scenario.
That's correct. I
what
was
would I
going to
do?
say that secondly, but basically I wanted to just test you.
I was making sure you were paying attention.
I wanted to
Z.
make sure
Just
Z
making
was
sure.
paying attention. I wanted to
Cost-benefit analysis.
These are all
Exactly.
things I was doing. It was very complicated.
When the going gets tough, we go to Boston. That's just the way it is. It's just you got to be tough up in Boston.
Hey, weebs.
Lobster, lobster.
Wicked
Tom Brady.
awesome. Just wicked
Belichick.
awesome business advice.
Wisham, wicked. So anyway, so that's one example of knowing that number helps you make the right decision, and that's why when we do business coaching, we make sure that the business owner, the entrepreneur, knows all these. Hey, what does it really cost to make that widget?
And very few people know to start, and we will
They
help
do.
you break it down.
Break it down.
Break it down. Break it down.
You
break
know,
it down.
don't be scared of that. If you're a business owner out there, it's actually really fun. It may seem weird, but once you know your break even and you know how much your profit per customer is, and you know these numbers, it makes business super fun. You know what you're actually aiming for now.
So here is the final tip I want to give you here. Dr. Z talks about know when to cook the pig. The founder of Honest Tea, Seth Goldman, he talks about how he says when Coke first invested, we were in about 15,000 locations with Honest Tea. Now with Honest Tea, we're in over 100,000 locations. So certainly the ability to reach people and to scale is different, but crafting the agreement with them was the most important negotiation we ever conducted. So I actively participated in all the discussions because getting this wrong could have screwed up my family's financial future. Coke first bought 40% of the Maryland-based Honest Tea in February 2008 for $43 million. So, Wes, someone's listening to the show,
Yes.
and they're going, well, I don't need to screw with a legal agreement. I mean, legal is like, did like Moses sign a legal agreement when he was working with like Aaron? I mean, did Aaron even work with Moses? These are all questions I have.
Well, let me segue perfectly from Coke into, I was talking to a friend the other night at a meeting, and he used to be a labor union rep, and he repped a small group of drivers for PepsiCo. And he went into a negotiation with PepsiCo about the driver's agreement. And the PepsiCo, big wig executive sits down and goes, first thing I want to tell you is this isn't just a driver's agreement. You think we're a soft drink company, really we're a delivery company.
Ooh.
This agreement is going to tell me whether or not I can make money. And so those little agreements that seemingly seem like they're a big deal, they turn out to be really big deals. You just don't realize it until it's too late.
And I want to make sure you're getting this because I want to make sure the listeners kind of understand my relationship with Dr. Zellner and how that works. I am not going to work with anybody if I can't trust them.
Yeah.
And then the legal agreement is more or less the technical agreement. So over time, you don't remember things differently. But it's so important, Z, that you don't go into business with someone that you don't trust and respect from the
Correct.
very beginning. Because,
Correct.
no matter what the legal agreement says, there's some weasels out there.
Yes.
Correct.
So Z, talk to me. What's your filter of how you know if someone's a weasel or not? That person is definitely a weasel. I swear that is a weasel. Crack him with the skull with the lead pipe. Boom.
One, they have fur.
The teeth like. I measure a man or a person by their actions and not their words. And so I observe. I pay attention.
You watch what they do, not what
Watch
they
what
say.
they do, not what they say. And it could be as little as maybe you're playing ping pong with them, and then all of a sudden they're cheating on the score. You're like, what? No, it's 15-17, right? I mean, it was just 14.
You're watching what people do
17.
and not what they say.
I love your quote. I think it's in the bathroom above a urinal at the Thrive headquarters.
Yes.
It says, yes, I am watching you. Yes, I am checking your keystrokes.
Dude.
Yes, I do know what you're watching on the computer.
Before we have to wrap this up, we have keystroke recorders on the computers. Devin has installed them. And one of the computers, I saw a guy this week do a stupid idiot move. And it's like, I know what you're doing, and I can see it in your other actions. And so don't be a weasel. But if you're a business owner, don't go into business with a weasel. And if you don't want to be a weasel because you're not a weasel, go to thrivetimeshow.com. You can subscribe to the podcast, the one-on-one business coaching, the business conferences, and a video library of thousands of videos. And as always, 3, 2, 1, boom!